Hello everyone, welcome to this session. I've just solved this NEET test 29 after this eventful day where the HRD minister and the NTA finally coming out and saying the exams will happen on the date. So please, I'll request you all, please focus on your study and leave this news thing. If it has to postpone, it will postpone. But right now it is pretty clear exam is going to happen, it seems. So keep preparing harder for your exam now. Now, what is the physics analysis for this test? Let's see. So, what I have seen, I have marked 3 questions as tough. Out of 18th, I think is not the right one to ask for you because magnetic potential you generally not study. In question number 3, the value of the height is not given, without which you cannot solve the question. In question number 9, the answer has a power mistake of 10 to the power 1 power of 10. Though the options are very far away, you can still take the closest one, but that's wrong is wrong. Okay, so what we have 3, 6, 9 and 13, 16, 18. 18 questions I have regarded as medium, 3 as tough, so this 24 questions are easy. So all in all, not a very tough paper. It should be a scoring one for you, I feel. So going by my logic, 24 plus 9, that is, you will have 33 questions. 33 questions means 130 should be the score. Anyone looking for scoring something in physics, hoping something in physics must get, and those who are very good in should get 160 around this in this paper. So these are the scores that I expect based on your proficiency level. Let's see what is in the paper. So let's begin. Electron is at a ground state of the hydrogen atom. The minimum energy required to excite this atom into the second excited state. Second excited state you means that is n equal to 3. So for 1, 2, 3, you can directly say the one energy has minus 13.6 and one has minus 1.5. So the difference you know is 12.1 eV. So directly you can go for the minimum energy required is 12.1 eV. Next one. A proton in an alpha particle accelerated through the same potential enters a uniform field perpendicularly. Radius of the proton orbit is 10, then the radius of alpha particle is. So what we can talk about the radius. We know radius is mv, mv is root 2 mk, and k you can write as qv. So I can write this kinetic energy as q into v upon qb. So if I can say for same potential, same magnetic field, radius would be proportional to, if I can write it as root of m by q in this case. So for the proton and alpha, so if I take this ratio of proton to alpha, that ratio would be proton mass is, let's say, mass of proton into E, and this would be, this alpha one has 4 times the protonic mass and it has twice the charge. So this ratio comes out as 1 is to root 2. So alpha will move in a radius of 10 root 2 centimeter in this particular case. Next one. 2 identical masses are shown in the diagram. One is thrown upwards with 20 meter per second, another is just dropped simultaneously. If the collision between them is elastic, find the time interval between their striking with the ground. Okay, so find the time interval between their striking with the ground, that you need to find it out. Okay, so now first of all, where they will meet, first of all, so what we can say, the relative acceleration of both is 0 because both move with same acceleration. So that means, and they are dropped from a height where there is given height. No, height is not given to us. Height is not given. Plus one more thing, because they are identical and elastic collision, their velocities will exchange. So I can assume this particle motion will be carried forward by this. So this will take a time, as we talk about as a normal, when you throw it, you directly write it, the time after which it will fall. Now instead of this will fall off, it will reach the ground at the time that we can write it as, from this logic we write as 2u by g. So 2u by g means 2 into 20 by 10, that is 4th second. So this will hit the time, let's say, let's call it 1, let's call it 2. So t1 hit at 4th second. Now what about the other one? The other one which is falling freely, so its velocity will be exchanged and will be given to this one. So this will again, after striking, will reach after the time which it will take to fall height h, that is root 2 h by g. So you can assume effectively there is no collision, it will return to its path, it will directly come up, and you have to find the times. Now without the value of h I cannot solve it, and if I see the solution, they have assumed height to be 20 meters. There is nothing written here. So I'll also take as 20, but ideally this question cannot be solved without this. So this comes out as 2 seconds. So one hits at 2 seconds, one hit as 4 seconds. That means you can directly say the gap between their hitting the ground would be 2 seconds. So go for option B. But again, as per you cannot solve it without the value of h, so this is particularly bonus for you. Next, two blocks 10 kg 4 kg connected by a spring of negligible mass placed on a frictionless horizontal surface. Impulsive force gives a speed of 14 to the heavier in the direction of the lighter. The velocity of cm, this is a very straightforward, because one is at rest, you can directly say 10 into 14 m1 v1 plus m2 v2, that is 4 into 0, 0 upon 10 plus 4, 14. So cm will go with a speed of 10 meter per second. Quite an easy one for you. Next one. When a ceiling fan is switched off, its angular velocity reduces to 50% when it makes 56 rotations. How many more rotations will it make before coming to rest? I have solved it 3 to 4 times the same question. So let me solve again for you. So let's say its initial speed was omega naught, and from omega naught to omega naught by 2, the angle covered, let's say delta theta 1, you will write using that third equation as what you will write. Final omega naught square by 4 is omega naught square. Alpha will be negative, so I can directly write its magnitude alpha, negative sign, I have taken it, delta theta 1. So this delta theta 1 you can directly call as 3 omega naught square upon 4 into 2 alpha. This is the first. Now for omega naught by 2 to 0, again writing this equation, it would be 0 is omega naught square by 4 minus 2 alpha delta theta 2 second time would be what I can write, omega naught square upon 8 alpha, or you can directly say from 1 and 2 delta theta 2 directly comes out as delta theta 1 by 3. So that was 36 rotations, so it would be 12 rotations. You can go for option B in this particular case. Next, the force between two identical charges placed at a distance of r in vacuum is F. Now slab of constant 4 is inserted between these two charges. If the thickness of the slab is r by 2, then the force between the charges will be. So here what you will do, here the logic that you will say, because it is a dielectric constant 4 and distance is r by root 2, so the d effective of this will become root k times r, that is root 4 times r by 2. So this distance basically becomes r. So the effective distance r will now become that r by 2 was with vacuum plus this r, so this effectively becomes 3r by 2. So if the distance becomes 3r by 2, distance is 3 by 2, f is inverse to r square. So if it becomes 3 by 2, force will become 4 by 9. You can directly go for this. We have discussed this question in some previous test also. So just remember, in this dielectric, this distance r in dielectric k will be equivalent to distance of vacuum. If I talk about it, would be root k times r in vacuum. So this is the equality. Using that expression you can directly go. Just remember this. The current I in the given circuit is. What is the current I in the given circuit? You have to find out. So just look at it. You can directly see these two are in series. So 6 and 6 would be 12, and this 12 and 3 will be in parallel. So 12 and 3 in parallel, 12 into 3 upon 12 plus 3 you will have, that would be 12 into 3 upon 12 plus 3, that is 15. So 12 by 5, 2.4 ohms. So the current will be directly, you can say 4.8 divided by 2.4, that is 2 ampere. So go for option B, not that tough, you can make it out. So this is 2 ampere. Next one. In the circuit shown, the ideal ammeter reads a current I1 amperes. Okay. Now the source of EMF and the ammeter are physically exchanged. That is, sources between B and C and ammeter between A and B. The ammeter will now read a current I2. So let me check the circuit first of all. So this was the circuit. Now this was the current it was reading. So the current that it was reading, this I1, what I can say would be, if the total current is I, if the total current in the circuit is I, so I can write this current as I upon what I can write, this would be divided between these two. These two are in parallel, so division would be opposite to that, so that the lower one will get the more one. So it would be in R3 would be R2 upon R2 plus R3. That is what you are going to write. And this I would be equal to E upon, if I do, it would be R2 R3 upon R2 plus R3 plus R1 into R2 upon R2 plus R3. This was the first case. Now in the second one, the circuit has changed. This is the ammeter here, and this is R2, this is R1, and this is the battery here. This is R3. So now what would be the current read by? So this will be between R2 and R1 now. So if I do, this will measure what is the current flowing here. So in the second case, this I2 measured would be this I dash flowing here into R2 upon R1 plus R2. Okay, and this I dash here would be E upon R1 R2 upon R1 plus R2 plus R3 into R2 upon R1 plus R2. So let me check again. How can I simplify? If I do this, what will we get? This R2 plus R3 get cancelled. ER2, what you will get? This was R2 R3, sorry, R2 R3 plus R1 R2 plus R1 R3. Okay, I think that it will come out same now. Yes, it will come out same. If you will solve it here, R1 plus R2 gets cancelled and you will still get R1 R2 plus R3 R1 plus R3 R2. So yes, this is luckily coming out as same. I1 is equal to I2. Didn't appear to me in the first, but it is the same. Next, the electric field strength in Newton per coulomb that is required to just prevent a water drop carrying a charge from falling under gravity is. So simply what you need, this is QE should be equal to mg, that you should write. So E is mg, m is what? 0.0016 into 10 to the power minus 3 into 9.8 divided by Q is 16 into 10 to the power minus 19. Okay, so this is a 16 I can cancel up, and this is a 4 10 to the power minus 7 10 to the power minus 12. This is 10 to the power 12 into 9.8 I can get. Let me check again the powers first of all. This is 4 and 3 7. 19 minus 7 would be 12, so it would be 10 to the power 12 into 10 to the power 12. That is what 9.8 into 10 to the power 12. That is what I am. So what should I do? No option. I'll go for the closest one, but this is not right. Next one. This was the question number 9. Now 9th, after 9th you have 10th. Capacitor is made of a flat plate of area A and a second plate having a stair-like structure as shown in figure. The capacitance of this arrangement is. Okay, so what would be the capacitance of this arrangement? We can make out, because this is all metal. So these all points, let me change the color, these all will be at the same potential. So these are same, so these points are same, so we can have one capacitor between two, one between two, one between two, and all three will be in parallel. So what I can write, C is C1 plus C2 plus C3. For the first one, we have this epsilon naught, area is A by 3 and the gap is D. Second one again, area is A by 3, the gap is 2D. Third one again A by 3 but the gap is 3D. So epsilon naught A upon 3D I have taken as common. It is 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3. Take the LCM. This would be 6, this would be 6 plus 3 plus 2, epsilon naught A upon 3D. So it comes out as 11 by 18. I can make it out. It would be 11 by 18 epsilon naught A by D. So it would be option not B, it would be C here. Next, in the given circuit, the reading of voltmeter V1 and V2 are 300 volt each, which is V1 V2, that means it is at resonance. They are same, that means that the circuit is at resonance. The reading of voltmeter V3, so V3 would be 220 volts, that is for sure. And the reading of ammeter would be V by R, directly you can write 220 by 100, that is 2.2 amperes. So 2.2 amperes, 220 volts, go for option B, easy one for you, nothing tough in it, just you can make it out. This is in what we say, resonance. One conducting U tube can slide inside another as shown in figure, maintaining electrical contact between the tubes. The field B is perpendicular to the plane of the figure. If each tube move towards the other at a constant speed V, then the EMF introduced in the circuit in terms of BL and V, where L is the width of each tube, is going to be. So what it is going to be. So here what we can take it out. So if you can make it out, this is a complete, what we can say, this is a complete loop that we are getting, and there will be motional EMFs induced, and that would be irrespective of this shape, this depends on this length only. So these are the two lengths, and what we have, this is going here, this is going here. So V cross B, if I do this positive here, if here I will do, this is what we get. This V cross B will be, what we can say, V cross B will be like this. So if I do this in the loop, the both batteries will add up. So EMF would be twice of the one in which, and you say no, that is equal to BVL. So directly you can say this is 2 BVL. Remember, you can also make it out, both are coming, therefore the flux is decreasing, so the flux change is happening. Flux change is not zero, so you cannot cancel up. They will be adding up, and that would be 2 BVL. You can directly go. Next one. Your satellite mass M, initially at rest on Earth, is launched into a circular orbit at a height equal to the radius of Earth, the minimum energy required. So you can say when it is at the earth surface, it is only having potential energy, it was at rest, so its energy was minus gmm by r. And finally it is a satellite, so I will write energy as minus gmm by 2r. R is the radius would be r plus h, that is r plus r. So that is minus gmm into 4r. So energy required, delta E required, I should write now to U initial, this is E final, and I know K initial was 0, so that is E final minus E initial. E initial is U initial, which is minus gmm by 4r, minus become plus gmm by r, so it become 3 by 4 gmm by r, multiply and divide by r. This gm by r square is small g, so it is mgr into 3 by 4. So go for option D here. D is the answer for this particular case. Next, suppose the gravitational force varies at nth power of distance and time period of planet in circular orbit of radius r around the sun. This question we have done again many times. So let's say force is k upon r to the power n, that is m omega square r. So omega square is proportional to 1 upon r ki power n plus 1. Omega is inverse to t, so I can say t square would be proportional to r ki power n plus 1, t will be proportional to r ki power n plus 1 by 2. Go for option A, no doubt in it. 3 rods are made from the same material having the same cross sectional area, length have been joined as shown in figure. Okay, the left and right hand are at 0 at 100 respectively. The temperature of the junction of the 3 rods will be, so just apply the Kirchhoff junction law type thing. Let it be H1, let it be H2, and let it be H3, and let it be T. So what we can say from junction law, H1 plus H2 would be equal to H3. H1 would be 100 minus T1 upon resistance of all will be same, so I can write it as R because all the rods are identical of same material. That would be equal to 100 minus again T, not T1, I should only write T. So 100 minus T upon R, and that is T minus 0 upon R. R goes. So 200 is equal to 3T, T equal to 200 by 366.67 degrees. So go for option D here. Easy one. Next, the value of the current I1, I2, I3 flowing through the circuit given below is, so let me check the circuit where it is. Okay, I1, I2, I3. So how you will find up, so if this is I2, this will also be I2, and this is I1, this is I3. Okay, so just let me move on this loop. This is loop 1. So just go for this loop 1. What you can write for the loop 1, I can write, start from here, plus 10 minus 6I1 plus 14 minus plus 4I2 as per this convention equal to 0. So what you get, 6I1 minus 4I2 is equal to 10 plus 14, that is 24, or you can say 3I1 minus 2I2 is equal to 12. This is the first thing. So 3I1 minus 2I2. So you can hit and try from here also. So 3I1 minus 2I2, 12, first option cannot be possible. Second, if I take 6 plus what you will have, 6 plus 6, 12. Yes, it is coming. C is not coming, D is not coming, so only B is coming as per this equation. We are sure this equation is right, but let me solve again for you. So let's say this is the loop 2. How you will do, 10 minus 6I1 minus 2I3 equal to 0. So what we have, again simplifying, 3I1 plus I3 equals to 5. So again you can try from this method also. 3I1 plus I3 equals to 5, that also satisfies here. So this is one. And the other thing, using the junction law, I1 is coming, I2 is coming, so I1 plus I2 is equal to I3. So you can solve the 3 equations. I am not solving because that were easy for me to directly take. Next, the pressure P, volume V, and temperature T of a certain material are related by P is alpha T square by V. Alpha is constant. Work done by the material when temperature changes from T0 to T0 and pressure is remaining constant. So what we have, pressure is remaining constant. We always know work done is P dV, that is a general formula. So pressure is a constant, so we need to get V in terms of T. So what I can write here, the answer is also given in terms of P only. Okay, so P is a constant. So P is constant, so what I can say, T square is P by alpha into V. So what I can write, 2T dt. 2T dt would be P by alpha into dV, directly I can say. So instead of this P dV, so this P dV, I can directly write this P dV from here. That would be easier for me. P dV becomes 2 alpha T dt. Now this is easy one for you. So 2 alpha t, 2 alpha common, that would be t square by 2. So t 2, this goes t square, that is 4 t naught square minus t naught square, that is 3 t naught square alpha. So 3 alpha t naught square, that is going to be the answer. Go for option A. Next one. The magnetic potential due to a magnetic dipole at a point on its axis distant 40 centimeter from its center is this. The magnetic moment of the dipole. So you can directly say magnetic potential. Now magnetic potential is beyond your syllabus, so I'll say leave, because we don't study it. No point in I am telling you, because this is really beyond your syllabus. You don't really remember this, but if you want, you can use that basic formula that we typically use, Kp by r square for the electric dipole. So K you will have here mu naught upon 4 pi m upon r square. You can try from that if you wish. So if you wish, I am solving now. 10 to the power minus 7 m upon r square would be 0.4 whole square, that would be 0.16, and v is 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 5. So I have just taken that analogy. So this magnetic moment comes out as 2.4 into 0.16 into 10 to the power 2 if I did make it. So 2.4 into 16, 16 4s are 64, 16 2s are 32, 32 plus 6, 38.4. You can go for option C, but typically we don't generally talk of magnetic potential. Next. An ionized gas contains both positive and negative ions. If it is subjected simultaneously to an electric field along the plus and the magnetic field along the plus z direction, then what will happen? Okay. So electric field is along plus x and magnetic field is along plus z. Okay. So positive ions deflect towards positive y direction, negative ions deflect towards negative y direction. So how we can think of, let's assume both were at rest. So electric field for positive charges will push them along plus x axis, let's say here, and the magnetic field is along plus z. So let me take, this is x, this is y, and z coming towards you. So z, I can represent this magnetic field like this. So because it will gain velocity along x, and if I do that v cross b, it would be deflected towards like this. So it will be deflected along negative y axis, and if I start with negative charge, it will go here along the negative x. Again, if I do that v cross b, it is a v cross b in this case comes upwards, but it is negative, so it will experience a force opposite to v cross b. So again it will go like this. So again it will also drift along the minus y. So both ions will deflect towards negative y direction. Go for option C. Particles moves along a line OX at a time t. The distance x, that means x-axis of the particle from O is given by this. How long would the particle travel before coming to rest? So rest means the velocity will be 0. So velocity is dx by dt. So start it. It would be 12 minus 3t square equal to 0. So t square equal to 4. So t equal to 2 seconds. So in 2 seconds, how much it will go? So it will go before coming to rest. Okay. So at t equal to 2 seconds, just calculate the value of t. X, it is 40 plus 12 into 2 minus 8. So this is 24 minus 8, 16, 56, and x at t equal to 0, if you will solve, it is 40. So 40 to 56, it will travel 16 meter in this particular time from 0 to 2. Don't write it 56 because at t equal to 0, it is at 40. Now, the piece of marble is projected from the earth's surface with a 50 meter per second velocity. 2 seconds later clears 5 meter high wall. What is the angle of the projection? So what is the angle of the projection? So I am assuming it just clears is the notion of this. So y, write it as uy t minus half gt square. So y is 5, uy, let me solve, t is 2, this half gt is 5 into 2 square you get. So 5 is 2 uy minus what you will get 20. So uy comes out as 12.5. So uy comes out as 12.5 for u. So if uy is coming out 12.5, that would be equal to u sine of theta. So sine theta comes out as 12.5 upon u, which is 50, that is 1 by 4. So theta is sine inverse 1 by 4. Go for option D here. Next one. A 0.2 kg object at rest is subjected to a force this. The velocity after 6 seconds. So this is the force. So what we can say, acceleration, you can directly make it out, 0.3 upon 0.2, that would be 1.5 I cap, and it would be, you can write it as 2j cap meter per second square. So velocity after 6 seconds, because it is at rest, that would be equal to 80, that would be 9 I cap minus 12 j cap. So this is 9 I cap minus 12 j cap. Go for option A. Straight away question you can solve. Next, cricket ball has a mass of 0.25 kg. It has a speed of this, hits a ball, returns with the same speed, the force exerted. So initial velocity was here, final is here. So I can write this u and v. So v will be, I can write, let's say if I take this direction as positive, u will be minus 10 and v will be plus 10. So we can write forces delta p would be m vector v minus vector u upon delta t. So if I do that, vector v minus vector u, it would be 10 minus minus 10, so it would be 20 upon delta t. So this would be m is 0.25, this is 20 and this is 0.01, so it is 25 into 20, that is equal to 500 newtons. You can directly go for option D in this case. Straight away question for you. Next, binding energy per nucleon for parent is even, that for daughter is E2, then if it is a fission, definitely E2 must be greater than even, because that is stabilizing, that as I am assuming, so I will take option C on that basis. Next, the bending energy per nucleon for deuteron and helium are given. The energy released when two deuterons fuse to form this. So 2H1 plus 2H1 gives 4He2, that is what you are assuming. So the energy released would be final binding energy, that would be 7.0 into 4 minus initial, which is 1.1 into 2 into 2. So it is 4 I can take as common, it would be 7 minus what I can say 1.1. So 4 into 5.9 you are getting, so 4 9s are 36, 4 5s are 20, 23.6 MeV is the energy that is going to be released. This is option A for this particular case. Next one, a stretched string of length 1 meter fixed at both ends when vibrated in one loop has a frequency 200. That one loop means it is fundamental. Now it is plugged at a point situated at 25 centimeter from one end. Now 25, if I draw it, so 25 here, it would be at 1/4 length, it is plugged. That means this is the source of disturbance, so it would be an empty node, this would be a node. So I can directly make this would be node, this would be node, and there will be one more empty node. So what you will have this 2 loops here, 2 loops here. So the frequency is, it is second harmonic. For the first harmonic you have 200, for the second harmonic you can go for 400 Hertz. Go for option C. Next, particle is executing SHM, has a maximum speed of 0.5 and a maximum acceleration of 1. The angular frequency is, again you can write Vmax you know is omega A, Amax you know is omega square A, or you can write it as omega times Vmax. So omega would be Amax upon Vmax, that is 1 upon 0.5, that is 2. So the angular frequency is 2. Okay, so that is the answer. You need not to calculate the time period, it is 2 radian per second. Go for option A, that's an easy one for you. Next, work function for a certain material is given, illuminated with this frequency, the maximum kinetic energy. So just apply Kmax is, energy would be h nu minus phi. So h is 6.63 into 10 to the power minus 34 into 8 into 10 to the power 14 minus 3.2 into 10 to the power minus 19. So what you have, this is 6.63 into 8, so I can write it as 6.63 into 0.8 into 10 to the power minus 19, it will become minus 3.2 into 10 to the power minus 19, so 10 to the power minus 19 is common, 6.63 into 0.8. So if I do this, 8 3s are 24, 8 6s are 48, 50, 8 6s are 48 and 5 53. So it would be 5.304 minus 3.2, so that would be 2.1 something. So go for option A, 2.1 into 10 to the power minus 19 joule. Next one, for a certain material the frequency is double of the threshold one and the electron come out with this velocity if the value becomes 5 nu naught. So again this is a very standard one. In the first case, K1 max was equal to h into 2 nu naught minus h nu naught, so that becomes h nu naught. In the second case, the K2 max will become h into 5 nu naught minus h nu naught, that becomes 4h nu naught. So this means it is 4 times K1 max. So kinetic energy is 4 times, that means the speed would be double. So the speed is doubled, you can directly go for 8 into 10 to the power 6. Small ball density rho immersed in a liquid of density sigma which is greater than rho to a depth h and released. The height above the surface of water up to which the ball will jump. Here we will take an assumption that the transition time is neglected, that the transition point is taken to be a point only. So immersed in a liquid up to a depth h. So it is in a liquid, let's say at a depth h, let's say this. So when it is at a depth h, the buoyant force that would be equal to, you can say, we can say the density, okay, the fluid density is rho. So it is rho Vg and its own force is rho Vg, and that is greater, so it will have an acceleration here. So in this acceleration I can make it out would be sigma Vg minus rho Vg upon mass. Mass is rho v, you write. So that what we become, it becomes sigma by sigma minus 1 into g upwards. So what would be the speed with which it will be coming up? Let's say this speed is v, so v square is u square, that is 0 plus 2as. So a would be sigma by rho minus 1 into gh, that is the speed. So if this is the speed, the height it will go up h dash. I can say that h dash using our basic logic, that is v square by 2g. So using that v square by 2g thing, so it would be 2 sigma by rho minus 1 upon 2, and g get cancelled. So this is sigma by sigma minus 1 by h. So go for option A in this case. Next one. Body of density d1 counterpoised by mg of weights of density d2 in the air of density d. Okay, then the true mass of the body is, okay, so the body of density d1 is counterpoised by mg of weight of density d2 in the air of d, then the true mass of the body is going to be. So what would be the true mass of the body? So effective weight that we can say is mg minus fb. So mg minus fb would be d times volume would be m upon d2 into g, that is the force that is being balanced, and it is balanced by what? It is being balanced by what we can say body has a density d1. So the body has a density d1, so let's say body mass be m, so again mg minus d into m by d1 into g. So now you have to find the true mass. This g goes all, so what we get m 1 minus d by d2, and here also we will get 1 minus d by d1, that is equal to small m. So this is the answer you can directly go for. Nice question, just understand it and solve. Refractive index of glass with respect to the medium is 4/3. Okay, the difference between velocity of light in medium and glass is this, then the velocity of light in medium is, so n of glass with respect to the medium, that is given, that is ng by nm is given as 4/3, that is v in medium to v in glass, that is what you can say. And what is the difference that we are getting here? So this would be the difference that we will be getting is, so v of medium would be greater, so v of medium minus v of glass, that would be equal to 4/3 minus 1 into velocity of glass, that is velocity of glass into 3. So this velocity of glass into 3, this value is 6.25 into 10 to the power 7. That means velocity of in glass would be 3 into 6.25 into 10 raised to power 7. So in medium would be, I can make it out, that would be 4/3 into 3 into 6.25 into 10 raised to power 7. So this is 6.25 into 4, that would be 25 into 10 raised to power 7, or 2.5 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. Go for option A. Next, refractive index of a material of a plano-concave lens is 5/3, radius of curvature is 0.3, the focal length of lens in air is 1/f, 5/3 minus 1 plano-concave, so 1 upon infinity minus concave, it is given, so it would be positive, so it will remain negative, minus 0.3, so it is 5/3 minus 1, that is 2/3 you can write, and it would be minus 1 upon 0.3. So focal length would be minus 0.9/2, that is minus 0.45 meters, that is what we can go for option A. Next, two uniform thin rods mass m length L are placed along x and y axis, one end of each at the origin, moment of inertia about the z. So z is perpendicular to both, so directly both will be ml square by 12 and ml square by 3, because it is an end, it is the end of both, so ml square by 3 plus ml square by 3, so it would be 2 ml square by 3. Go for option B. Next, you have a solid cylinder 2 kg 0.2 meter rotating about its own axis without friction with an angular velocity of 3. The angular momentum of the cylinder is, so angular momentum you know is I times omega, solid cylinder mr square by 2 you will write into omega, so 2 into 0.2 whole square, that is 0.04 upon 2, omega is 3, this goes as 0.12 you can write. So it is 0.12 in the SI units, joule second you can say. Next one, the given electrical circuit is equivalent to, so what I can say, this is a NOT gate with 2 inputs same. This is also a NOT. So this is basically only this output which is a NOR gate. So that's a simple way of analyzing this. Always remember in NAND and NOR, if its same input is fed on 2, it acts as an inverter or a NOT gate. Next one. In a reverse bias diode, when the applied voltage changes by 1, the current is found to change by this, the reverse bias resistance. So again, resistance is delta V by delta I. So change in voltage is 1, current is 0.5 into 10 raised to the power minus 6. So it is 10 to the power 6, 2 into 10 to the power 6 ohm. You can directly go for option B here. Next one. So both semiconductor questions were easy here. Gas mixture 2 moles oxygen, 4 moles argon at temperature T, total internal energy ignoring vibration. So for 2 moles this would be 5R by 2 into T. For 4 moles of argon it would be 3R by 2 because it is monoatomic, that was diatomic. So it is 5RT plus it will become 6RT, that is 11RT. So you can go for option D, the total energy is 11RT. Next. The speed of light, acceleration due to gravity and pressure are taken as fundamental quantity, then the gravitational constant will be. So first of all, gravitational constant, what you write it as, it would be G would be Fr square upon m square, that is the dimension you write. So Fr square upon m square. Now what you have, acceleration due to gravity, that is force upon mass, if I can write like that. Speed of light, that is distance, or you can say distance upon time, r by t or l by t you can write. And what you have, pressure is force upon area, that is force upon some r square type thing. So to get this particular dimension, F into r square, first of all upon m square. So upon m square, that is clear, this small g will be whole square, g will be whole square for sure. So g will be whole square, and from that I am getting only one option. Let me check if I am right. So if I do this, c to the power 0, so this goes, and g square, it would be f square by m square, and p to the power minus 1, it will become r square by f. Yes, perfectly you will get. So our logic works. I have just done it by some hit and trial, otherwise the method you exactly know, g proportional to, let's say, g to the power a, c to the power b, p to the power c, and you equate that MLT coefficients. Now, light of wavelength 600 incident normally on a slit of width this, then the angular width of central maxima in the diffraction pattern you directly know is angular width is 2 lambda by a. 2 into 600 into 10 to the power minus 9, this is 2 into 10 to the power minus 4. So what it is, 6 into 4, 6, 10 to the power minus 3. So this is 6 into 10 to the power minus 3 radian. I'll go for option A here. Now 41. Two coherent beam wavelength 5000 angstrom reaching a point would individually produce intensity of 1.44 and 4. They reach together, intensity is this. Calculate the lowest phase difference with which they reach. So we know I is I1 plus I2 plus 2 root I1 I2 cos phi. So let me find this cos phi. This is 10.24. This will 1.44 plus 4.00. This would be 2. 1.2 I can make it out, and this would be 2. These are perfect square. You can directly do that. So this is 5.44 plus what it is. It is 2.4 into 2, that is 4.8 cos phi. 10.24, subtract it out. 4 and 4 goes, 12 and 4 is 8, 9 and 5 is 4, 4.80 upon 4.8 is equal to cos phi, that means cos phi is 1. Cos phi is 1, that means this is a, you can say basically it is a constructive interference, so lowest phase difference is 0, you can make it out. For non-zero it would be 2 pi, but for if 0 can be included, it would be 0. In a resonance tube using a fork of 22 to 325, successive length L1 and L2 are like this. The velocity of sound is, you directly know, velocity of sound is 2f L2 minus L1. That is the result you get from your experimental analysis. So 2f L2 minus L1, if I do, it is 325 L2 minus L1, 77.4 upon 25.4, 4 and 4 is 0, 77 minus 25 is 52, but to convert in meter, 10 to the power minus 2. So it is 325 into 2, I can write it as 650 into 0.52. So that is 65 into 5.2 I can write. So if I do 65 2 is 130, 65 5 is 325 plus 13, 338.0. So this is option A you can go for. Next one. A sine wave with intensity with amplitude, sorry, y is traveling with speed v on a string with linear density rho. Okay, angular frequency of the wave is omega. The following conclusion are drawn. Mark the which one is correct in particular option. If we are changing one quantity, assume others are kept constant. Doubling the frequency doubles the rate at which energy is carried along the string. We know power, there's a frequency thing, that this power depends upon omega square. So if we double it, it would be 4 times. So it is not going to be right. If the amplitude is doubled, the rate at which energy is carried would be half. It again proportional to a square, so it won't be there. If the amplitude were doubled, the rate carried would be doubled. It will be wrong. Rate at which energy is carried directly proportional to the velocity of the wave, that is the power. So power, you write it as half mu v omega square a square, if you remember. So it is proportional to velocity. So that is yes, option D will be right, and rest all are false. This was a nice question. Displacement of a body of 1 kg as a function of time t on a horizontal smooth surface is given by this, and the work done in first 1 second, that is you can directly do by work energy theorem. So for applying that, first find velocity. Velocity in general time is dx by dt. You can write it as 4t here. So at t equal to 0, the initial velocity u, that is v at t equal to 0, typically that you write will be 0, and v, that is velocity at the final velocity, you typically write that is 2 second or 1 second, sorry, here not 2, here it is 1 second, that would be equal to 4 meter per second. So w net would be equal to delta k is half mv square minus u square. So it is half, mass is 1, v square is 16 minus 0, that is 16 by 2, that comes out as 8 joule. Go for option C. Next, the last one. Spring which was initially in natural length, first stretched by length x, then again by further x. The work done in first case is w, and in second case you know is thrice of w. This you must have done multiple times. What's the idea? W would be equal to change in energy spring, that is half k x square minus 0 square. W1 will be again change in energy, but that would be x plus x, 2x whole square minus initial extension was x square, x final minus x initial square, that would be half k into 3x square, that you can write it as 3w. So this was today's paper. Thanks for watching.